What's wrong with Secretary Kim? A high-maintenance, narcissistic CEO takes his hard-working secretary for granted. When she decides to quit, he realizes how much he depends on her. As he attempts to change her mind, the relationship between them evolves, and they also learn more about their traumatic childhoods. Throughout his life, young Jun had never faced rejection from anyone. But then, an unexpected twist occurred when his secretary, Kim Mi-so, made the surprising announcement that she intended to resign. Determined to keep her on the team, young Jun embarked on a mission to persuade Mi-so to stay. Young Jun does not really understand why Mi-so wants to quit her job, so he proposes to Mi-so to keep her on his side forever. To his great surprise, Mi-so rejects young Jun's proposal and leaves him dumbfounded and even more confused. Young Jun gives Secretary Kim a necklace as farewell gift, but she avoids his kiss when knowing his intention. Mi-so, who only cared about her job, goes out on a blind date. Young Jun hears about Mi-so trying to get into a relationship and feels anxious about Mi-so being with other guys. Young Jun gets a bit mad, but when she thinks he's mad because she did personal stuff before a big event, he agrees. She offers an apology, and they find themselves in an uncomfortable and awkward moment. Lee Sung-yeon, Young Jun's older brother, came as Morpheus, whose books are all bestsellers and are made into popular movies, has dark secrets during their childhood. Sung-yeon, Young Jun's brother, comes back to Korea after being away for 3 years to see his family, but there's something strange in the way Young Jun welcomes him. Love and an ordinary way of life are not in Vice Chairman Lee's repertoire, but he makes a valiant effort to profess his feelings to Mi-so, his personal secretary, who feels otherwise. Sung-yeon shares a disturbing nightmare with Young Jun, raising questions about their past. He seems bitter about not receiving the same attention from their parents and hints at potentially taking Mi-so from Young Jun. Mi-so asks for her first ever leave after 9 years of service, leaving Young Jun unable to cope with her absence. He misses her so much that he decides to join her on her day off to ease his loneliness. Sung-yeon tells his side of the story, claiming that Young Jun stole his friends and bullied him in 4th grade. He claims Young Jun brought him to the redevelopment area and left him, leading to his kidnapping. Mi-so is unsure, and the revelation that Sung-yeon is her childhood oppa doesn't thrill her like Young Jun did. Secretary Kim grows closer to Sung-yeon, knowing he was the one she was with when she was kidnapped. The sight of Secretary Kim and Sung-yeon together drives Vice Chairman Lee mad. At a weekend workshop, Young Jun and Mi-so take shelter from the rain in a pavilion. Mi-so enjoys the view until she spots a spider, leading to a scream. Young Jun swiftly removes the spider and comforts her. He shares a chocolate, reminiscent of a past memory when Appa gave her a caramel to soothe her fears in a similar situation. Young Jun invites her to his house for dinner. Although she has visited his house almost every day for the last 8 years, Mi-so feels totally different this time and gets very nervous. Young Jun awaits her with a surprise gift to make her heart melt. Young Jun finds Mi-so's diary, and his hands shake as he gathers the courage to read it. He remembers dropping her off at her house that morning long ago, and how tiny Mi-so had said she wanted to marry him. It seems making their relationship official does have its drawbacks. Their roles clash with each other's desire. That gets the whole office to notice, and puts Mi-so in a position to set things right. They stayed at Mi-so's place when Mi-so's sisters visit, but she hides Young Jun in her closet to keep their new relationship a secret, asserting that he's currently her boyfriend. Mi-so apologizes, but Young Jun says they should stop before they get in another fight. He pulls her down into his lap and tells her that she's so pretty, he can't stay mad, and he kisses her right there in the closet. Mi-so starts to question if she misunderstood her childhood friend's name when she whispers Sung-hyeon Appa, and in his sleep, Young Jun answers. Suddenly he wakes, and his eyes go cold. Miso finds it puzzling why Youngjun's family is concealing his true identity, so she decides to visit Youngjun's mother. During the visit, she discovers a clue that could help her uncover the mystery of her childhood hero. Miso and Sun Yeon attend a magic show, where Sun Yeon questions the accuracy of his memory, making Miso uncomfortable. During the performance, Miso is triggered by the sight of high heels and has a vivid flashback of her childhood kidnapping. In the memory, she recalls her young self being terrified of a spider and begging her oppa not to leave her alone. Overwhelmed by this traumatic memory, she collapses, and Youngjun rushes to her side in a panic. Sun Yeon comes to the realization that Youngjun never sympathized with his suffering because he was the one who got kidnapped, not him. Miso wakes up, realizing that the person she's been looking for is right in front of her. When Youngjun hugs her, she says, "I'm happy that you're the oppa I've been looking for." Youngjun shows up on Miso's doorstep, having decided that if she doesn't want to stay at his house so he can protect her from bad dreams, then he'll just move in with her for a few days. Youngjun's parents are there to tell him that they know he didn't actually lose his memories of his kidnapping. Instead of speaking, Youngjun remembers the day before his kidnapping, when Sun Yeon took him to an area, claiming that there was an amusement park there. Sun Yeon offered to go get something to drink and told him to wait. He didn't return for a long time, and Annie found Youngjun all alone and asked him to help her carry her suitcase home. Sun Yeon remembers when Youngjun disappeared, and his father had yelled at him to tell them what happened. After Youngjun escaped, Sun Yeon had seen the bandages on his ankles and cried, knowing that his brother would be scarred for life. Youngjun tells his parents that when he got home from the hospital, he found Sun Yeon in his room, wearing his clothes. Sun Yeon had insisted that it wash his room and his clothes and had already convinced himself that he was the one kidnapped because Youngjun left him alone. The doctors had told his parents that he'd swapped roles with Youngjun out of extreme guilt. Youngjun heard that her mother wanted to die, and to Youngjun, who now knew what death looked and sounded like, the idea was unthinkable. So he faked a faint and pretended to lose his memories of the kidnapping, allowing Sun Yeon to claim the victim's role. They're all crying when Youngjun tells them he understands, and Mom gives him permission to admit it's been lonely. Youngjun breaks down sobbing, and from her desk where she can see him, Miso also cries. Youngjun and Miso have a private conversation after dinner. Youngjun expresses his relief at having revealed his secrets, and Miso concurs that honesty is always the best policy. He gently kisses her, pushing her onto the couch until she's lying down. He leans back and says, "I don't want to waste this night." But just as things are getting hot and heavy, Youngjun's phone rings. It's Yushik, and luckily for him, it is an emergency. A French company with an exclusive contract with them is being targeted by a UK company. Youngjun realizes that if he goes to France, he won't see Miso for a week, so he needs to make tonight count. But by the time he gets back to her, she's drunk and fast asleep. In the morning, Miso helps him pack, and he gives her a back hug and whines about not seeing her for a week. Youngjun goes on a business trip for a week, but works through it as fast as he can to come back to Korea to spend more time with Miso. At the airport, Youngjun nearly runs in his eagerness to see Miso. Seeing Miso smiling at Guinam for his efficient work, Youngjun scares 10 years off Guinam's life with his jealous glare. Miso is busy and unable to spend time frustrating Youngjun.